Fellow Zionists, thank you for joining Jewish National Fund USA's weekly briefing. I am Lizerbram, president of Jewish National Fund USA. It is day 208 of the war in Israel. Our first guest today is Lieutenant Colonel Nadav Shoshani, international spokesperson for the IDF. Lieutenant Colonel Shoshani has served in the IDF in many capacities, including the head of the IDF social media desk in 2016, increasing their digital audience to millions across several platforms. Lieutenant Colonel also led the print and financial desk of the IDF, overseeing strategic partnerships, and most recently worked as a spokesperson for the Israel military intelligence. Lieutenant Colonel also served as the spokesperson for the member of Knesset Gadi Eisenkot and was just appointed international spokesperson of the IDF last month, and we're honored to welcome him. Thank you for being with us on our weekly briefing. Lieutenant Colonel?
Thank you, Doctor. Thank you for having me today, and it's an honor for me to meet you all. And I'm very excited to have this meeting with you guys and talk to you, and I hope this won't be the last time. I hope we can have many more like these. I'll start by introducing myself, even though you did a great job. I returned to service after October 7th happened. I'm actually fresh meat, as you call it. I'm a new soldier. I drafted a few weeks ago. I finished my military service a few years back, and after October 7th, I redrafted once I was called to this position. Soon I'll get my ranks and all of that, but I'm happy to be here. I am a new father to a 2-month-old baby, so if I'm not sleeping because of the army, I'm not sleeping at home. But I'm happy on both occasions not to sleep. Both usually stuff I'm happy to do, either take care of my baby or do stuff for the state of Israel. What I thought to do today is tell you guys a little bit about our endeavors, what's happening in our little neck of the woods, operational updates, and then have you guys ask me some questions if you want to. And I really enjoy conversations, so if anyone wants to jump in and ask a question, it's okay, but I don't want to intervene in the way you run your meetings, so you guys can handle it any way you want, but I'm open for questions and conversations. So I'll start off and I'll talk a little bit about what's happening in Gaza and what happened today. Today I went with reporters in my team to the Erez crossing. If you remember, Erez is crossing northern part of Israel, northeast of the Gaza Strip, and it's a crossing that was heavily attacked on October 7th by Hamas terrorists. It was one of the points where they infiltrated, and there was heavy damage to the crossing, and we've been working to fix it. And today we've opened the new crossing. We're going to put out the visuals in about 10 minutes. But today was our first day opening the Erez crossing. This is part of a bigger humanitarian cause that we're working on. Basically, since the beginning of the war, we are working on facilitating and entering into Gaza big amounts of humanitarian aid. This is part of our strategy. It's also part of our values as Jews that we as the Jewish army act upon, but also part of our strategy. We are fighting Hamas. We're not fighting the people of Gaza. We are not using collective punishment. And this is something we've been doing in the last few weeks. We've added Ashdod is an entrance of is a way of entrance for humanitarian aid into Israel. We've added Allenby crossing for trucks to enter from Jordan via land, and we're working alongside our American counterparts on a project called J-Lots, which is a temporary floating pier across the shore of the central northern part of Gaza. All of these have been happening in the last few weeks, and more to come. The amount of aid going into Gaza is the highest. I've also been happy to see UN chairman saying that famine, it looks like famine is going to be avoided in the northern part of Gaza. And that's something we're working on, as I said, also as part of our strategy and also as part of our morals to make sure we can keep operating in Gaza. Anyways, so that's about our humanitarian efforts. We're having a lot of aid coming in, land, air, and sea. And today we opened a new land crossing, and in the weeks to come, probably next week, maybe the week after, we're going to open a new entrance through the sea with Central Command of the U.S. So that's humanitarian aid. On the operational scope, we've had several special operations in Gaza. The way the IDF is operating at the moment, as we have operations that you can call them focused or targeted on a specific area and specific mission that we're having. The Gaza Strip being the main battalions of Hamas have been dismantled across Gaza, except for Rafah, as you know, is a big subject. When and how TBD, but the IDF is ready to operate in Rafah when we get the green light from the political echelon. That's what's happening in Gaza. We still have 133 hostages in Gaza, something we remember every day, something that drives us in what we do and why we're still operating in Gaza, why we still have forces in Gaza. Most of our forces right now are in the central of Gaza, central part of Gaza, and but we are operating special operations. We've had a few in the last weeks. That's about Gaza, and as I said at the end, I don't mind taking questions. I'll be happy to answer anything. In the northern part of Israel, we have around 60,000 Israelis who have been moved from their houses, who can't return to their homes. They're living in different parts of Israel, some Dead Sea, some in Eilat, some in other parts of Israel. They cannot return home because of rocket and missile threat from Hezbollah. Hezbollah has been shooting rockets consistently at bases and at Israeli communities for about 7 months now, and no sign of any change soon. They see this war as their own. They decided to partner with Hamas, which is a type of an ISIS horrible organization, and they're attacking us on a daily basis. Every day there's clashes in the north. You don't always hear about them in the news, but there's clashes between Israel and Hezbollah on a daily basis. Last week we had a civilian who was killed. He was doing works on the border up north near Har Dov, Dov Mountain. He was on a truck and he got killed by a Hezbollah fire. And this is something we keep seeing on a daily basis. They shoot at us, and on a weekly basis, there's some sort of occasion. Hezbollah has been violating Resolution 1701, the UN resolution at the end of the 2006 war that said that they cannot enter the southern parts of Lebanon. They are deeply rooted in southern Lebanon. They are using southern Lebanon to carry out attacks against Israel. They're hiding behind civilians. They're using dual locations that are also civilian locations and also military locations, and attacking Israel from them. And this is something we've been dealing with for months. We are also striking back whenever they strike, carrying out attacks, taking out senior terrorists, and doing our best to eliminate their capabilities and their military structure. So that's what's happening in Hezbollah, and we're dealing with that heavily on a daily basis. It doesn't make the news so much because of Gaza, but the situation in the north is horrible, and a change will need to be seen in the upcoming weeks, either if it's by a military action or it's by diplomatic actions, but something needs to change. The reality wherein 60,000 Israelis can't go back to their homes is not a reality we can accept. And I think the international community should join us in this effort because this is our problem now, but it can be anyone's problem soon. And Hezbollah is violating international resolutions, attacking Israelis. So that's something we're dealing with right now in our northern. And I want to give a word also about Judea and Samaria. We had the month of Ramadan last month, where we put the state of Israel, IDF, Kogat, different units. We put in a lot of effort to give freedom of religion. Thousands of people would go up to the Temple Mount, Muslims, Jews, Christians, and we put in a lot of effort to make sure everyone has freedom of religion, that their holidays are unbothered. Same as for Passover, Easter, Ramadan. We're doing our best to keep freedom of religion in all these places. And it went by relatively peaceful. We had a terror attack yesterday in the old city of Jerusalem. A Muslim guy stabbed a police officer in the old city, stabbed him from behind. He was dismantled later on. And the reality in Judea and Samaria, as we say, is a low fire or a low burning fire that we're dealing with to make sure terror doesn't uprise and we don't have another uprising. We had a special targeted operation in Tulkarem a few weeks back where we took down some heavy terrorists who were planning terror attacks against Israel. And we're keeping on night by night to carry out operations against terrorists to keep the quiet and safety for the people of Israel and for all people in Judea and Samaria. That's what's happening I also want to give a word about what's happening in Israel. Is we just celebrated Passover relatively in a peaceful manner, and we have big drafts now for people to the IDF. And we've seen, I don't know if you guys are interested by it, but we've seen very high numbers of people enlist to the service above what we need. So 115, 120% in all the military units. The young people in Israel see the need, understand the need, and they feel like it's their turn and their obligation. And we see very high percent of people wanting to draft into the IDF. And I'll just give a word about Iran and about bigger picture situation, and I'll leave it up for questions. I don't want to take too long and talk too long. Iran has been targeting the destabilization of the Middle East for years. They've been publicly and not publicly trying to harm Israel, to kill Israelis, to weaken Israel, to end game, to destroy the state of Israel. And in the last half a year, we've seen it. Last 7 months, we've seen it up close. Iran is an organization that funds, trains, and leads Hamas and Hezbollah and other organizations like the Houthis in Yemen and like different organizations in Syria and Iraq. And last month, their true face was shown to everyone. They carried out a very aggressive attack that was countered by spectacular, one-of-a-kind defense operation together with our partners, the U.S. and different countries. But the sign, you probably saw the rocket. I was there. I can show you pictures of the rockets. They sent out hundreds of rockets, huge rockets. One rocket could take down a skyscraper. So they were targeting Israel. They were targeting to get a big harm, big damage, and a lot of casualties. And the fact that we were able to defend ourselves doesn't mean that it wasn't a big attack, showing their true colors, showing their true goals to destabilize the situation in Israel and in the Middle East in general. They've been encouraging Hamas, Hezbollah, and the Houthis. The Houthis have nothing to do with Israel. They're further away than Iran. The Yemen is further away than Tehran to Israel, but they've been encouraging them. They've been giving them weapons. They've been giving them money. They've been training them. And you see these weapons turned not just against Israelis, but against the whole West. They've been turned against Americans. They've been turned against the Brits, in the Red Sea, in near Yemen. So we see this as a big problem that we're dealing with, and we're gonna keep protecting ourselves, and we're gonna keep working together with our partners who understand this. This is not a Hamas-Israel war. This is an Israel war where we're David against Goliath, where we've been protecting ourselves from attacks from 6 different fronts, and this is the situation we're in. It's not Israel against Hamas. You have to look at this war in a bigger scope. And I think the world is not really looking at it in a bigger scope, but it is part of a bigger picture and a bigger struggle that we're facing. And I want to give you some time for questions. I don't want to take up the whole time. And I want to also say I'm concerned seeing the pictures and what's happening in the States. I am very happy to see supports from different organizations and different people standing up for what's right. I think there's a big problem of people who are very uneducated and at the same time are very sure of themselves and their opinions. It is not my per se job because I'm a military officer, I'm a military spokesperson. But as an American and as someone who loves the state of Israel, I'm very worried about the stuff I'm seeing, but also very encouraged about the support that Israelis and Jews are receiving in the States. That's it for me. I'll take maybe a few questions. I don't know if you guys.
So, yeah, so Lieutenant Colonel, one question that came in is what obstacles stand in the way of the Rafah incursion?
On mute. Okay, yeah. Well, we understand we need to operate in Rafah for 2 reasons. One is our hostages. Just a few months ago, we brought 2 hostages out of there in a special operation, and the second thing is dismantling Hamas terrorist infrastructure that promised that they would do October 7th again if they get the chance. The main question here, if I can be honest, as a person wearing uniform, is the decision of our war cabinet, of our political echelon, and the IDF. We're a democratic state. The IDF will take out the operation whenever we're given the green light from our political echelon. We'll do it on the best way possible. I would say that's the main reason right now.
And another question, we'll make this the last one. We have another guest waiting. Is that generally, what's the background of the new enrollees into the IDF? Are they any of them from the religious community, Arab Israelis? You know, just generally, is there a demographic that you've noticed?
Well, I'd have to check to give you a more specific response, but I can tell you what I see with my own eyes. I'd have to check to see the numbers, but I've seen something amazing in Israel since October 7th. Everyone is volunteering. We always, no matter what the mission is in Israel, you always have over 100% of people willing to do the mission. People are volunteering for reserve duty. People are volunteering to any mission possible. Just had a talk with the team that have been volunteering with us for half a year. We have people volunteering everywhere. We have and enrolling into the IDF. There are religious people, not the Haredi. The Haredi group, we've actually seen a big amount of people, a small amount, but big relatively amount of people enrolling into the IDF, volunteering, deciding they want to go in. I think once it became a political issue, it kind of slowed down the process. It kind of has an opposite effect when it becomes political. But we've seen Haredi enter the army. We've seen in general the Israeli Arabs, the Druze, the Bedouins take a big part in this war and fight this war for us. We've seen Bedouins. there was a Bedouin hostage and Bedouins killed in the war, and they take a big part of this. They see Israel as their country. They understand we're fighting a bigger enemy, and you see relatively unity. There's still problems in Israel, but you see unity and you see everyone volunteering. You see 110, 120, 150% of volunteers for any mission we have in Israel.
Terrific. Well,
I just want,
first
yeah,
of-
yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
no, that's okay. Do you want to finish up?
I just wanted to say thanks for having me. I'm honored to speak with this special group, and I hope we can do this often. I'd be happy to talk to you any opportunity you want to have me, and I thank you guys for your support. And I'm sure each and one of you has been doing a lot for the state of Israel, and I want to thank you for that, and say that I'd be happy to see you anytime and talk to you anytime.
Well, first of all, Mazel Tov on the birth of your baby. That's the most important thing.
That is pretty important, yeah.
Yeah. And yes, we will call on you. Hopefully, the discussions will continue or be more upbeat, and there'll be less discussion about if and when we have to do the next invasion. But we will call on you. Thank you so much for your time, and we look forward to seeing you again.
Thank you for having me.
Next, we're so pleased to hear from our dear friend Yedidya Harush, JNF-USA Halutza Liaison. Yedidya, thank you for joining us since October 7th. We were with you when your community of Shlomit needed to be evacuated, and we rejoiced when the community returned just last month. We were all with you in spirit when you were called to reserve duty, and we were with you when you returned home to face new challenges just before the Passover holiday. We will share your great appearance on the ILTV in the chat in just a moment. But first, over to you, Yedidya.
Shalom, Saul, and thank you so much for having me on this call. Shalom to everyone. It's been, as you said, quite a roller coaster here in Israel. I mean, you've heard from the spokesperson. Being home is very exciting to be back in your home, in your community. There is nothing like home. Obviously, there are many challenges that come with it. As I'm speaking to you, I'm hearing from this side the great explosions from the fight in Gaza. I don't know what everybody is talking about. What I see with my own eyes is many tanks and bulldozers and many soldiers that are moving down to the south part of Gaza, to the Rafah area. We saw it today, and definitely being home feels very special, although there are a few challenges with the children and the PTSD and a few other things that we're dealing with. But I really, as you said, I want to open with a word of thanks to Jewish National Fund for helping my matzah bakery that was definitely in a great crisis when I was in the army and basically couldn't sell any matzah because I was in Gaza while the workers were baking the matzah. And Jewish National Fund, as it is always incredible in making connections within the family, not trying to reinvent the wheel, and found the Makom organization that basically helped us distribute the matzah that you bought from us to many evacuees in different hotels, in different temporary locations. And I don't deserve it, but I got so many compliments and so many words of thanks from the different evacuees. It got to over 5,500 families that really got a beautiful holiday thanks to Jewish National Fund. So I thank you on behalf of the bakery, the 50 workers that I employ from the Gaza border communities, but also on behalf of the 5,500 evacuees from the Makom affiliate of Jewish National Fund. I want to just finish up with a few words of optimism. I know we're going through rough period of times, obviously here in Israel, but as we're seeing the last few days, also more than ever in the college campuses in across the United States. And I want to tell you that we go through many challenges as a nation. It's not new, and as we have done it before, we will do it again. We will be able to prevail and win, and we can only do it through our unity. So thank you all for being united together with us, our brothers and sisters, our friends in America, 6,000-7,000 miles away, and friends here on the border with Gaza, the center of Israel in the north. Wherever we are, we're together and we're going to win. And toda rabah for being incredible partners. I look forward to the day that we can continue having JNF missions and not just the volunteer missions. Am Yisrael Chai.
So you did, first of all, you do deserve it. I know you said you don't deserve it, but the answer is you do deserve it. And could you explain a little bit what it was like returning to Shlomi, and especially for the kids? Maybe you could give us a little insight.
Sure. So there are two aspects to having the kids back. You have the kids, who just went through a very hard day on the 7th and are now coming back and dealing with explosions that are making them wake up at night. And then you have the children who it's probably the majority who suffer from PTSD, who went through different experiences, maybe even prior October 7th, and obviously October 7th, and now coming back to the crime scene and hearing those explosions that they may heard on the 7th. And if it's my daughter, I can tell you that 2 nights ago, I walk into the bomb shelter and she's in the bomb shelter sleeping, and that's not her room. She's not, she doesn't live in the safe room. And I saw that the window was closed. And in the morning, I asked her what happened. She was half asleep. She told me I hardly remember, but I heard an explosion. I was afraid, and I just ran into the shelter and shut the window. It was just the IDF, bombing some terrorists in Gaza. But for her, it's something that brings her back. And obviously, then you have to deal with the bereaved families, with orphans, with the widows, and then that's a whole other issue, which is very exciting to be home, but every the widows, the children tell me every corner on the house, we look everywhere, we see our father, we see him, and it's hard for us. It makes us remember him every minute and deal with the great pain of not having our father. So as a result, we try to bring in therapy for the children. If it's through art, or horseback riding became a pretty popular therapy in the community. Music therapy, JNF is building for us now together with the government a very large community center that will have a main focus on therapy for children through art and music. And it's something that we're dealing with it. It's not easy.
Look, we've known you for many years. We know that generally you're an optimistic person, and we're going to continue to follow your lead on your optimism. So, thank you so much for being with us. Obviously, we look forward to seeing you in Israel. We'll be there. There's several volunteer missions as well as non-volunteer programs coming up. So we look forward to seeing you. And thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, JNF. You're a true family. Toda rabah.
Over the Passover holiday, I know that many of you watch with growing concern and alarm as university and college campuses around the country erupted with protests that turned anti-Semitic and anti-Israel. Our Israel Advocacy and Education Department will be bringing us a special edition briefing on this situation and what we all together with JNF-USA can do at this critical moment. This is not the time to be silent. JNF-USA, along with over 30 other major Jewish communal organizations, signed a letter to the House of Representatives urging the immediate passage of the Anti-Semitism Awareness Act. JNF-USA is a apolitical organization, but this legislation is not about politics. It's about protecting our next generation of Jewish students and continuing the fight against anti-Jewish hate, violence, and discrimination. Be on the lookout for an invitation to that special edition briefing on education. For now, you can learn more on the impact you're having on the ground by visiting jnf.org/support Israel. And if you want to be part of the largest gathering of enthusiastic Zionists, join us for our global conference for Israel taking place this year in Dallas, Texas, from November 14th to the 17th. Over 1,000 people have already registered, and you will come away feeling inspired. Register now at jnf.org/global. If you can't wait until November to get involved, you can join us on a volunteer working mission to Israel. Visit jnf.org/volunteeril to learn more and to register. We will see you next Wednesday, May 8th at the same time. I'm Israel Chai.